The crystalline spires of Nova Centauri glinted in the light of 3 moons as Ambassador Neera Thane's shuttle descended through the violet atmosphere. Her heart raced despite years of diplomatic training. This was humanity's first contact with the Austrines, a species known throughout the galaxy for their advanced technology and strict adherence to logic over emotion. The landing pad extended from one of the towering structures, a marvel of engineering that seemed to defy gravity. As Neera stepped onto the iridescent surface, she was greeted by her Austrine counterpart, High Delegate Zorith, whose tall willowy frame and luminescent skin marked them as distinctly non-human. Yet there was something captivating about their presence. "Welcome to Nova Centauri, Ambassador Thane," Zorith spoke, their voice carrying musical undertones that the universal translator couldn't quite capture. "I trust your journey through the quantum corridors was satisfactory." Neera smiled warmly, a gesture she knew might puzzle her host. "The journey was fascinating, High Delegate. Your quantum drive technology is remarkable." Zorith's iridescent eyes flickered with what might have been curiosity. "You display an emotional response to technological achievement. This is unexpected. Humans often experience joy and wonder when encountering new discoveries," Neera explained, following Zorith into a transparent elevator that began ascending the spire. "Our emotions and our scientific progress are deeply intertwined." "Fascinating," Zorith responded, their tone neutral but their posture shifting slightly. "We Austrines have long believed that emotion hinders progress. Yet your species has achieved remarkable advances while embracing these emotional responses." The elevator opened into a vast chamber with walls that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. A round table of some crystalline material dominated the center, surrounded by seats that adjusted their shape as delegates from both species took their places. "Perhaps," Neera suggested, settling into her chair, "we could learn from each other. Your technological achievements are extraordinary, and our emotional intelligence has helped us navigate complex diplomatic situations throughout human history." Zorith's head tilted slightly, a gesture Neera had learned indicated deep consideration. "You propose an exchange of more than just technological knowledge. Every diplomatic mission is an opportunity for cultural exchange," Neera replied. "Understanding each other's perspectives can only strengthen any alliance we might forge." The following hours were filled with formal discussions about trade routes, technological sharing, and defense agreements. Yet Neera noticed Zorith's attention repeatedly returning to her expressions, her gestures, the way she laughed at subtle jokes, and showed concern during serious discussions. As the first day's negotiations drew to a close, Zorith approached Neera privately. "Ambassador, I have a request that may seem unusual. Would you be willing to explain how humans navigate social interactions through emotional awareness? For purely diplomatic purposes, of course." Neera recognized the moment for what it was, a crack in the logical facade, a hint of curiosity about a different way of being. "I would be honored, High Delegate. Perhaps we could begin with something simple, like how we use facial expressions to convey meaning without words." Zorith's skin rippled with colors that suggested interest, though their face remained carefully neutral. "Yes, that would be most informative." As Neera retired to her quarters that evening, she couldn't help but smile. The first step toward understanding had been taken, and with it, the possibility of something extraordinary, a bridge between logic and emotion, between two very different ways of experiencing the universe. The following days brought a series of unexpected encounters that challenged both Neera and Zorith's preconceptions. During a tour of Nova Centauri's quantum research facility, an accident in one of the labs sent equipment crashing to the floor. Without thinking, Neera reached out to steady Zorith, her hand gripping their arm. The touch lasted only seconds, but the impact was immediate. Zorith's skin flickered with waves of color, their usual composed demeanor momentarily disrupted. That sensation, They began, then paused, struggling to find words. I experienced an unexpected neural response. We call it adrenaline, Naira explained, slowly withdrawing her hand. It's our body's natural reaction to sudden stress or danger. Did you feel your heart rate increase? A surge of energy? Yes, Zorith admitted, their voice barely above a whisper. We Astrenes suppress such responses through mental discipline. But this was not unpleasant. The incident opened a door to more personal conversations. During their evening meetings, ostensibly to discuss diplomatic protocols, Zorith began asking increasingly detailed questions about human emotions and relationships. Your species forms permanent pair bonds, Zorith observed one evening, as they shared a view of the triple moonrise from an observation deck. Yet these bonds are based on emotional attachment rather than genetic optimization. Naira smiled, watching the purple-tinged light play across the city below. We call it falling in love. It's not always logical. In fact, it rarely is. But there's a beauty in choosing to share your life with someone because of how they make you feel, how they challenge you to grow. But how do you know? Zorith's question carried an undertone of genuine confusion. Without empirical data, without compatibility algorithms, how can you be certain? Sometimes you can't be, Naira admitted. Love requires courage. You have to be willing to take risks, to be vulnerable. But that's what makes it meaningful. Zorith was silent for a long moment, their iridescent eyes reflecting the moonlight. I'm beginning to understand why your species values art and music so highly. These emotional experiences, they add dimensions to existence that pure logic cannot explain. As they spoke, Nira noticed subtle changes in Zorith's behavior. Their movements became more fluid, less rigid. Sometimes, when they thought no one was watching, their faces would show hints of expression, a slight upturn of lips, a softening around the eyes. During a formal dinner with other delegates, Zorith surprised everyone by requesting that Nara demonstrate a human custom, dancing. The other Astrenes watched with mixtures of confusion and curiosity as Nira taught Zorith a simple waltz. Focus on feeling the rhythm. Naira guided, leading them through the steps. Don't try to analyze it. Just let your body respond to the music. At first, Zorith's movements were stiff, calculated. But gradually, as the gentle melody continued, they began to flow more naturally. Their skin shimmered with patterns Naira had never seen before, and there was something new in their eyes. A spark of joy. This is most irregular, Zorith murmured, but they didn't pull away. I find myself experiencing sensations that defy logical categorization. That's often how beauty works, Naira replied softly. It doesn't need to be categorized to be real. The evening ended with an unprecedented request. Zorith asked to learn more about human artistic expression, music, painting, poetry. Other Astreme delegates were shocked, some openly disapproving. But Zorith stood firm. If we are to truly understand our potential allies, they announced, we must comprehend all aspects of their culture, even those that challenge our traditional perspectives. As Naira later recorded her daily diplomatic log, she reflected on the transformation she was witnessing. The barriers between their species weren't just political or technological. They were philosophical, emotional, fundamental to how each species viewed existence itself. Yet somehow, through small moments of connection and understanding, those barriers were beginning to crumble. What neither of them realized was that their growing friendship was about to catalyze changes that would reshape both their societies in ways neither could have predicted. A storm was brewing in Nova Centauri, both literally and figuratively. The planet's unique atmospheric conditions created swirling auroras that painted the sky in shades of emerald and gold. But inside the diplomatic chambers, a different kind of turbulence was unfolding. High Delegate Zorith's behavior has become erratic, Senior Counselor Nexus declared, his crystalline form pulsing with disapproval. They have been observed engaging in unnecessary physical contact, displaying irregular color patterns and spending excessive time studying human cultural practices. Nara stood before the Austrian Council, maintaining her diplomatic composure despite the hostile atmosphere. She had been summoned to address concerns about her influence on Zorith, but she knew the real issue ran deeper. "With respect, Councillor," she responded, "cultural exchange is a vital part of any diplomatic mission. High Delegate Zorith is simply showing commendable dedication to understanding their potential allies. Understanding does not require participation," another council member interjected. "We have observed Zorith attempting to smile yesterday." Smile. Such emotional displays are beneath an astrine of their status. Before Nara could respond, the chamber doors opened and Zorith entered. Their skin was radiating patterns that Nara had learned to recognize as determination mixed with something else, defiance. "Esteemed Council," Zorith began, their voice carrying a new warmth that made several council members shift uncomfortably. "I wish to share something with you." They moved to the center of the chamber and activated a holographic display. To everyone's surprise, music began to play, a haunting melody that combined traditional Austrian harmonics with human musical elements. "This is a piece I composed," Zorith explained. "It represents the potential harmony between our peoples. Through my interactions with Ambassador Thane, I have discovered that emotion and logic need not be opposing forces. They can complement each other, creating something greater than either alone." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Creating art for aesthetic pleasure was considered a waste of cognitive resources in Austrian society. Yet even the most hardened council members couldn't deny the beauty of the composition. Furthermore, Zorith continued, their skin now pulsing with passionate colors, "I have come to believe that our society's complete suppression of emotion has not made us stronger, it has limited us. Humans have achieved remarkable things precisely because they embrace both logic and feeling." Nara watched in amazement as Zorith moved through the chamber, their presence commanding attention in a way she had never seen before. They were demonstrating the very thing they spoke of, the power of combining emotional conviction with logical argument. "Consider our technological achievements," Zorith argued. "We excel at improving efficiency, at perfecting existing systems. But humans, they innovate in unexpected ways because they dare to dream, to feel wonder, to take illogical leaps of imagination." Senior Councillor Nexus rose, his crystalline form darkening. "You suggest we abandon millennia of cultural evolution. Our dedication to pure logic has made us one of the most advanced species in known space." "I suggest we evolve further," Zorith replied calmly. "Not abandon logic, but enhance it with new perspectives. The universe is vast and full of mysteries that logic alone cannot unravel." As the debate continued, Nara noticed something extraordinary happening. Other Austrians in the chamber were showing subtle signs of emotional response. A flicker of color here, a shift in posture there. Zorith's transformation wasn't just personal, it was catalyzing something larger. Later that evening, in a private garden designed for meditation, Zorith sought out Nara. The regular geometric patterns of the garden seemed at odds with the organic change taking place within Austrian society. "I must thank you, Ambassador," Zorith said softly. "Through our interactions, I have discovered parts of myself I never knew existed. It is unsettling, yet exhilarating." Nara smiled gently. "Change often is, but you've shown remarkable courage today. Your music was beautiful." "Beauty," Zorith mused, testing the word. "We have always understood it as mathematical harmony, perfect proportions, but now I begin to see it differently, as something felt rather than calculated." As they watched the aurora dance across the sky, both knew that they had crossed a threshold. The bridge between their cultures was no longer just a diplomatic construct. It had become a living, growing thing, built of shared understanding and mutual growth. But with change comes resistance, And not everyone in either society would welcome this transformation. The true test of their progress was yet to come. The news spread through Nova Centauri like ripples in a quantum field. A group of young Astrians had been caught participating in what they called an emotion circle, sharing personal experiences and practicing facial expressions. More troubling to the Council, they claimed inspiration from High Delegate Zorith's recent behavior. This disruption must end, Senior Counselor Nexus declared during an emergency session. The human influence is corrupting our youth, destroying centuries of careful emotional suppression. His crystalline form had darkened to an ominous shade, and his words carried an edge that betrayed the very emotions he claimed to reject. Naira stood at the chamber's center, acutely aware that the future of human-Astrian relations hung in the balance. What you call corruption we see as growth, she argued. Your young people aren't rejecting logic. They're discovering that emotion can enhance it, not diminish it. And what of the chaos that comes with these emotions? Another council member demanded. Already we see decreased efficiency in our research facilities. Workers stop to admire sunsets. Students question established protocols. They're asking questions because they're curious, Zorith interjected, entering the chamber. Their skin rippled with complex patterns that seemed to blend determination with compassion, an impossible combination by traditional Astrian standards. And our research data shows something unexpected. Teams that have embraced limited emotional expression are showing increased creativity in problem-solving. Zorith activated a holographic display, presenting research data that made even the most skeptical council members lean forward. Project success rates had increased by 23% in departments where emotional expression was permitted. Innovation metrics showed similar improvements. But the cost? Nexus protested, though his tone carried a hint of uncertainty. The disorder, the unpredictability. Life is unpredictable, Naira said softly. Perhaps that's why emotions evolved in the first place, to help us navigate uncertainty, to find meaning in chaos. The debate was interrupted by an urgent alert. A massive solar flare from Nova Centauri's star threatened the city's quantum shield generators. The council chamber erupted in controlled chaos as status reports flowed in. The standard protocols aren't working, a technical advisor reported. The flare's pattern is too erratic for our predictive algorithms. Without hesitation, Zorith stepped forward. Let me lead the response team. My unique perspective might help. The council exchanged glances. But with time running out, they had little choice. Nira watched as Zorith coordinated with both human and Astrian engineers, their hybrid approach, combining logical analysis with intuitive leaps, proving surprisingly effective. As the crisis unfolded, something remarkable happened. The Astrian engineers, following Zorith's example, began to trust their instincts alongside their calculations. When the shield generators finally stabilized, it wasn't just through mathematical precision, but through a combination of technical skill and creative problem-solving that would have been impossible under rigid emotional suppression. In the aftermath, as the aurora danced overhead in celebration of their survival, Naira found Zorith in the meditation garden. The typically geometric patterns of the plants seemed to have grown more organic, mirroring the changes in Astrian society. You took a significant risk today, Naira observed, not just with the shield generators, but with your reputation. Zorith's skin shimmered with what Naira now recognized as pride, tinged with uncertainty. I am beginning to understand that progress often requires risk. The Council cannot deny the results, though they may struggle to accept the implications. And what about you? Naira asked gently. How are you handling these changes? It is overwhelming at times, Zorith admitted. Each new emotion feels like discovering a new color in a universe I thought I knew completely, but I would not return to the darkness of pure logic, even if I could. As they talked, small groups of Astrines gathered at the garden's edges, watching with poorly concealed curiosity. Some showed subtle signs of emotional expression, a tentative smile here, a wonder-filled gaze there. The transformation was spreading, not through force or argument, but through example and inspiration. "We are standing at a crossroads," Zorith mused, watching their people with a mixture of hope and concern. "The path forward will not be easy, but for the first time, I believe it will be worth the emotional cost." What neither of them realized was that the next day would bring a challenge that would test not just their diplomatic relations, but the very foundation of their growing understanding. The true price of change was yet to be revealed. The day of the final treaty negotiation arrived with an unexpected development. A delegation of young Astrines had gathered outside the council chambers, their skin collectively shimmering in patterns of hope and determination. They carried artistic creations, paintings, sculptures, and holographic displays that blended traditional Astrine precision with emotional expression. Inside the chamber, Senior Councillor Nexus regarded the scene through the transparent walls with visible distaste. "This display proves my point. Look at this disorder, this chaos. We must end this human influence before it destroys everything we've built." "Or perhaps," Zorith countered, their voice carrying new authority, "it shows us everything we could build." They gestured to the gathered crowd. "These young ones aren't rejecting our ways, they're expanding them. They use mathematics to compose music, logic to structure art, reason to explore emotion." Nara stepped forward, her diplomatic training balanced with genuine passion. "What you're seeing isn't destruction, it's evolution. Your society hasn't lost its foundation of logic. It's gaining new tools to build upon that foundation." The chamber fell silent as a young Astrine researcher named Lyra approached the council platform. Her skin pulsed with nervous energy, but her voice remained steady. "Honored Council, I wish to present our findings." She activated a holographic display showing a complex series of neural patterns. "We've been studying the effects of emotional integration on cognitive function," Lyra explained. "The results are remarkable. Subjects who embrace both logical and emotional processing show increased problem-solving capabilities, enhanced creativity, and most surprisingly, more stable mental health." Furthermore, Zorith added, "Our recent crisis response demonstrated the practical advantages of this integration. The shield generator incident was resolved through a combination of technical expertise and intuitive understanding that our traditional approach couldn't have achieved." The council chamber erupted in discussion, but a new voice cut through the debate. An elderly council member named Ven, known for his conservative views, rose slowly from his seat. "I have lived through 3 centuries of Astrine progress," he began, his crystalline form glowing softly. "We have always prided ourselves on our ability to evolve, to perfect ourselves through logic. But perhaps we have been too rigid in our definition of perfection." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. Then continued, "I have been observing these changes with growing curiosity. Yesterday, for the first time in 200 years, I found myself moved by the sight of our triple moons rising. I felt wonder. And my logical analysis of astronomical phenomena was not diminished by this feeling. It was enhanced." The admission sparked a transformation in the chamber. Other council members began sharing similar experiences, moments where emotion had not weakened their logic, but strengthened their understanding. The atmosphere shifted from tension to cautious optimism. Nura watched as Zorith moved through the chamber, their presence both commanding and compassionate. They had become living proof of what they advocated, the perfect balance of reason and feeling, logic and intuition. "We stand at the beginning of a new era," Zorith declared, "one where we need not choose between emotion and logic, between tradition and progress. We can embrace both, becoming stronger for it." The final treaty that emerged from those chambers was unprecedented. Beyond the usual diplomatic and trade agreements, it established cultural exchange programs, joint research initiatives studying the relationship between emotion and cognition, and collaborative art projects celebrating both human and astream perspectives. As the formal proceedings concluded, Nera found Zorith in their favorite spot in the meditation garden. The geometric patterns had been subtly altered, now incorporating flowing, organic elements that complemented rather than contradicted the original design. "You've changed more than just policy," Nara observed. "You've helped create a new way of being." Zorith's skin shimmered with complex emotions that would have been unthinkable months ago. "We all have. This journey has taught me that true strength lies not in rejecting what is different, but in finding ways to integrate it. The universe is vast enough for many ways of experiencing it." Outside, the young Astreans had begun a celebration that combined traditional ceremonial movements with spontaneous expressions of joy. Some older Astreans watched with bemused tolerance, others with growing curiosity, and a few even joined in, their movements tentative but genuine. "What happens now?" Nara asked, watching the scene with quiet satisfaction. "Now," Zorith replied, their eyes reflecting the aurora overhead, "we continue to grow. There will be challenges, certainly. Change is never easy, but we've proven that logic and emotion, tradition and progress, different species and cultures, they can all coexist and strengthen each other." As the 3 moons rose over Nova Centauri, their light fell on a society in transformation. The rigid geometric patterns of the city now held space for organic growth, much like the hearts and minds of its people. It was a testament to the power of understanding, the courage to change, and the endless possibilities that arise when different worlds come together not in conflict, but in harmony. The story of Nera and Zorith would be told for generations, not just as a diplomatic success, but as a reminder that the greatest discoveries often come not from rejecting difference, but from embracing it. In the vast expanse of space, they have found something profound, that the path to true wisdom lies not in choosing between heart and mind, but in learning to let them dance together.